Hey, so I wanted to take a minute to thank everybody for the comments and suggestions about um, how writers with physical limitations can now write on Medium since Medium removed the capability to write and edit within the app. Um, I fully, understand the suggestions to work outside of Medium in a third party app, writing, something in Google Docs, anything like that. I totally get it. I understand the suggestions to try dictation. All of those ideas are on my radar. All of those ideas are things that I'm going through and trying. So thank you. Um, but I really, I do want to put it out there though, and I think like clarify that um, we shouldn't even be having this conversation right now. Um, Writers like myself who, have these challenges that are preventing us from sitting at a desktop computer, or even, using a tablet and things like that. Um, we should not be having to find all of these workarounds. You know, Unfortunately, as there were a few comments who brought this up on my last post, this is a legal issue. You know, a medium corporation, like this is an American corporation. There are laws in America about the accessibility of websites and mobile apps. And we have a situation where Medium used to provide some accessibility in this area for writers to use a mobile app, to use a small screen like a smartphone, and to craft stories from there. And now that they've taken that away, they've taken accessibility away from some of the writers who need this the most. Medium is a lifeline for some of us, and it just goes so far beyond disappointment. Um, as others mentioned, they don't think that this is legal. A part of the ADA, what the ADA created guidelines around websites and mobile apps more than a decade ago, like back in 2010. So we're talking about now it's 2022, and Medium takes us away and they call it a disappointment, and they say that they've done this because most users weren't using that feature. Well, here's the thing, um, if you look at the statistics on just in general, users of the internet with disabilities, um, apparently we are less likely to have a desktop computer. We are less likely to even have a laptop that we work from. We are more likely than users without disabilities to access the internet through a smartphone, through a mobile device. And I continue to get people telling me that like all of the functionality is there for Medium to be used on a tablet. And you know what, I totally get that, because I used to write a lot on Medium on a tablet. I did that, and I quit doing that. I was actually having trouble with my hands, repetitive motion. Like I was having issues. It wasn't a great fit for me. And then now that I'm going through all of the lymphedema treatments for the lipedema, for the lipo lymphedema, now the issue at hand is that I simply cannot sit and write. When I write, I actually have to be lying down. I'm writing, when I'm using my LymphaPress pump, and that requires me to lay down, or I'm writing with my legs elevated in bed, and that's, it's such an extreme elevation that also my back is down. That requires me to write lying down. And to do that, like I've got to be using a small phone, with a small screen. I can't hold an actual tablet up like while I'm lying down and sit there and writing. That's ridiculous. That doesn't work. So yeah, I mean, honestly, that's just the gist of this whole situation is that it shouldn't even be a conversation right now. We shouldn't be quantifying what Medium has done as, like, oh, well, it's a bummer, but you can do this, you can, write in Google and then copy and paste it over into the browser, you know, um, these are things that, yes, they can be done, but they are things that users should not have to be doing. If Medium actually values, writers equally, if it values writers who are disabled or writers who lack just some of the basic privileges that they apparently are assuming that we have, privileges like owning a desktop computer or owning a laptop, even owning a tablet. Remember, like, there are going to be users who only have internet access. Even if they have no physical limitations, they could have financial limitations. That means they can only access the internet through a mobile phone. Um, if you go ahead, head over to Substack. I've had issues with Substack with not wanting to use Substack just because of some of their policies and things, and I haven't wanted to use them, and I've been very loyal to Medium over the years. Um, but this is kind of one of those last straws where I don't see how we can love Medium. I don't see how Medium loves us. I don't see how they care about indie writers. I don't see how they care about disabled writers. I don't see how they practice what they preach. I just feel bamboozled, by the string of the past couple years of decisions, that this is not a company like I can believe in anymore. And it's distressful, it's traumatic, it's upsetting because, when you put so many years, you put so much time into a company like this. And, I've been like hanging on and holding on to hope for things to improve. And just to see them take this away and act like it's nothing but some mere disappointment, that's huge, and that's deeply disturbing. And no, I don't think that that's even a legal thing that they have done. So that's where we're at. Aspie Aspie writer, so I know I don't always say things well. I'm not a great speaker, but when I mentioned Substack, if you go over to Substack, go to the website from a mobile phone. You do not even have to call up the desktop version, because their website is optimized for mobile use, so that even in a small screen, you can, as a writer on Substack, you can create a post, and it's, relatively comparable to the functionality that Medium, until recently offered by allowing us to write in within the mobile app. So, so that's the other issue. Um, if Medium really feels it's necessary, but let's be honest, I believe this is all about saving them money and manpower. They don't want to pay you know, to upkeep the editing and writing ability within the app. So if they feel that that's so crucial for them to cut out, then they should have an optimized website, because right now, as I think, most of us know, you cannot pull up the Medium website in a mobile browser and write. If you click on, write a story or whatever it's saying these days, um, it won't work. You have to call up the desktop version of the Medium website, and then you can see, like, in a mobile browser, it's not optimized at all. So that's what I'm talking about. So you're dealing with, tiny little text. You're trying to go through, like, you know, view your story in its entirety, trying to see how it's going to like lay out on the page, and it's horrendous. It's tiny, I have bad vision because I have a nearsightedness and a very, 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 very strong prescription with astigmatism. So, I wear thick glasses. Um, I have that type of vision that like your friends put on your glasses and they're like, oh my gosh, ow, like that hurts. You know, like I'm just like a normal human being who happens to have poor vision, and it's hard on my eyes to have to sit there and like squint. And so even if we're talking about writing a story in a third party app and then just copying and pasting it into the Medium browser, okay, so we're still dealing with the issue that functionality on, a small mobile window is terrible, even just to, get that laid out, because you can't transfer the layout accurately from like Google Doc or, a third party app into Medium. You need to go through and make sure that your page breaks are where you want them to be and all of these things. And trying to do that, in a phone, like trying to zoom in, zoom out, see the whole picture, it's ridiculous. It's it was a headache enough, like the way that I was having to go through Medium to use the desktop version to publish. You have to kind of like tinker with it to go like click the dots and get your story moved into the right publication and things, from the mobile browser. Like it's a headache, right? I was okay that it was a headache for like a couple of minutes with each story, but now we're talking about, a much bigger deal. We're talking about like spending a lot of time to fix a story and get it into the desktop from a mobile browser, and it's just getting ridiculous. But again, this it's not an issue of it just being like, oh, well, this would be nice. It would be so good for, disabled writers if Medium would do this. Like, no, this is serious. This is an issue where Medium apparently doesn't give a crap, because if you look at the responses that they've given me, right? They're giving me the same canned responses that they're giving like everybody else who, doesn't necessarily, let's say about the people who've written in to ask about it, but they personally don't need that functionality in the app. All right, that's fine. Give those people your canned response, right? Because those people, if they don't actually care, fine. Okay, but for those of us who have limitations and disabilities and, just certain lacks of access, where this is actually a huge and significant issue, this affects our incomes, this affects our daily lives, this affects our ability to work and, access the audience that we've built over the years. This is a very big deal. This is not just a disappointment. Like, this is Medium physically, like, proactively, like, directly, like, removing access from people who need it. And they don't have an ADA compliant website. So what are they even thinking? Like, how does this save them money? All I can see is that this opens Medium up for legal repercussions, right? If you do just a little bit of Googling about, protecting your business from ADA lawsuits and things like that, a lot of sites will tell you that it can be $25,000, like just for a company to like protect themselves, like in the case of like a single lawsuit or something that comes up to try to start, getting things righted, to, fix their website, things like that. So Medium, which, touts itself as being so inclusive and being a place where anybody can come to write, what the hell are they doing? Like, what the hell is this? Like, other than just a very ill thought out way for them to save money and to give these responses, like when people are telling them, like, hey, I have a disability and now you're impairing my ability to write here. That's huge. In the app, disabled writers who cannot sit at a desktop or a laptop or even a tablet, we were able to use the mobile app to go through, look at our drafts, fix issues, to write new stories. A lot of you guys know I've got thousands of drafts, thousands of ideas, like just sitting there, like in my Medium account. For them to take that access away and then tell us, like, well, you can like still do all of this through the desktop because that's what most users do. It's just so ridiculous and just absolutely ableist. It's like, yes, we are well aware that most people who are not disabled, like, are using laptops or they're using desktop computers. Like, okay, that's understood. But with this scenario, hello, you are running a business, like you're located in America, you're running a business that's supposedly like supposed to be reaching the world, right? Like there are already standards in place that are expected for places of business that advertise that they are open to all. So if you are open to all writers, why wouldn't you have a compliant website that would allow, writers with disabilities to access and actually create stories for your platform through a mobile app, or at the very least, through your browser on a mobile device? I can't tell you, I just can't tell you what Medium is thinking. All I can say is that the past couple of years have just sucked. Medium has made ridiculous changes. They keep tweaking with the damn app, and the app is not getting better. You know, um, they've ruined what used to be a really beautiful platform. And I don't just mean that because it's like, oh, I used to make money here and now I'm struggling to make money here. I don't mean it like that. I mean, you used to be able to go into the app, write a story if you wanted. You could comment on stories without issues. You could click on a profile, whether it was, a profile of an author that you were reading, or maybe it was a writer who left a comment. You could click on their profile. You could see what else they've written. You could see what else they've commented. But you know what? For how long now? At least a year, possibly longer. They just keep taking functionality away from that app. So, I see a comment now and someone says, like, oh, hey, I actually wrote about this. And I'm like, oh, I want to see what they wrote. Well, I'm in the app. I click their profile. I can't click it. I click their name from their comment. It doesn't bring up their profile. Things like that. Things like this have been an issue for a long time now, for far too long. Just simply getting notifications from the writers who I am supposedly subscribed to or the writers that I follow, going into the app and clicking like my following. It's frustrating when I can only see like 9 stories from accounts that I actually follow. um Even just for all of their talk about how they don't, want to keep, uh, they appear to not want to keep like pushing like stories written about Medium, like the meta stories. They're all like how to succeed on Medium. They created the Medium creators account and started publishing stories there, with best tips and best practices. Even though they've done those things, I'm not alone in, being frustrated with the amount of stories that come through, particularly, let's face it, like particularly from new accounts who don't even know how Medium works and they're trying to tell everybody else how Medium works. And, people who've been here for years were just like, oh my gosh, like, what is going on? Like, why is Medium pushing this? And, you know, why doesn't Medium reward writers who have put in the time for years? You know, why don't they care about loyalty? So many writers, we've been so loyal to Medium. We've had, other opportunities come up and other websites that ask us to write for them. And like we say, like, no, like we like writing on Medium, it's the easiest place to write and, get you know, financially compensated, all of these things that we love about Medium. Well, Medium keeps taking it away. They take more and more abilities away. They take more access away. They keep tweaking things like that most writers do not appreciate. And even with this whole referral system, like, look, folks, I know many writers, myself included, we had conversations, like whether through Slack or, um, video chats. We've had conversations with Medium staff already where we said, like, yes, this would be really helpful if Medium, compensated writers when it's our stories that excite new readers and get new memberships, like we should have some compensation that we're pulling in new memberships. But do you know what? We never ever in a million years did we want it to be some pyramid type scheme, where we're out there like selling and giving out our referral links. This or where we are even like monitoring, that side of things, or and looking at like, oh no, like our referrals dropped, or oh good, our referrals went up this week, or like it's like one more stat that writers didn't ever need to know. It's a stat that writers don't need to be in competition over. Like that's just something like selling ourselves. That's not what Medium was about. The whole thing, I mean, the big draw about Medium for so many years was that you didn't have to go and find your own audience. Unlike all of these other platforms, Medium was so good at connecting a writer's story with, the audience that wanted to read it. But Medium's not so good about doing that anymore. The algorithms are just like crazy now. So, and now, of course, we're in this position where if we want that referral money, we have to go and, hey guys, like, kind of feel like I'm selling Pampered Chef and, like, I'm back in high school selling a magazine subscription, but if you sign up for my Medium account, you'll support me and you'll get to read all these other writers, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so now, like, I'm not just writing, I'm in a sales position too. Like, what the hell, Medium? Like, this is just, it's not cool. And I'm so tired of hearing the BS about Medium's going to be more relational. No, Medium's not more relational. For like F's sake, like you can't even send them an email anymore. If you try to send an email to like your friends at Medium, you'll get it bounced back and then they're like, "Oh, we'll go to our help section," because we all know that the help section like actually has the answers. No, it doesn't have the answers. So then they've got like a roundabout way for you to create a ticket and provide feedback. And, some of us are in Slack where we can provide feedback that way. And let's face it, like just get ignored or get like canned answers. They're like, oh, I'm so sorry. No, actually, I should scratch that because no, they don't actually say sorry. Scratch that. They will just give you a canned corporate response. Oh, yeah, we know that this is so disappointing for some users, but most users don't use it, and so most users are benefited, and just all of this bullshit. It's ridiculous. It's not That's not what people signed up for with Medium. And I fully understand that there's going to be folks who they see this, they see the stuff that I'm saying. Heck, there's going to be folks that are like looking at what, like the past year or so, that I've been like much more critical of Medium's choices, and I've been talking about how they negatively impact writers. I know that people are going to be like, oh, this is sour grapes, and Medium doesn't owe us a thing, and, you are just being, entitled or whatever. Okay. I totally get it. Because look, like, I have been so loyal to Medium over the years that, like, I have made myself enemies. I have made myself, like, bullies of other people who are like, you're too pro Medium, all of this, like, how dare you? How dare you get people's hopes up for Medium? Medium doesn't care about us. Well, I was willing to give Medium a shot. I was willing to believe in the vision that they conveyed for years, and that they seemed to, for years, like actually be supportive of. But now, I can't say that. I think that Medium is almost like an embarrassing place to write. It's embarrassing for me to say that, like, I've worked so hard over these past 4 years here, and I'm getting close to 50,000 followers, and this past year, it's been a very slow year for me for gaining any traction because my health has taken over my life, trying to fight lipedema, trying to fight lipolymphedema and deal with all of that. It's taken everything over, and I totally grasp that, like, no, like, Medium doesn't owe me anything. But it does say a lot about how they view writers, or how they value us, how they don't value us. When we see writers who have, like, given so much to the platform, who've, published thousands and thousands of pieces, who've, you know, racked up like millions of views, who've brought in, new users, and for them to just, act like we're nothing, to act like the contributions we've made, or the, support that we've given Medium, the promotion that we've given Medium, all of the wonderful PR that we've given Medium, to act like that's just nothing, um, and to treat our very valid concerns as nothing, to ignore, legal issues like disability access, that just says so much for how little the platform actually values any of us. And that to me is just tragic, because that's not the platform that I thought I was working on. That's not the platform that that's not the platform I believed in. Um, and people can say what they like about that. I know that there's a lot of different ideas about the writing industry. And the writing industry, it's hard everywhere, right? You know, um, there are people who are going to be happy if they make 20 cents from Medium, you know, and then there are those of us who actually felt that Medium was moving forward at one point to offer, much, more proper financial compensation to writers who don't want to be tied down or limited to write about whatever they want, and to, write in a way that they're able to, build up this audience. So, you know, I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm not a public speaker, and I'm sure I'm just going around and around in circles because I'm frustrated. And, what do you do, right? All you can do is talk about it, write about it. It is hard because I can't just go into my app now and, work on a story as easily. I can't just say like, "Hey, I've got an hour. Let me see if I can get this draft published." Um it's not, it's a very different experience, which I'm sure some of you can appreciate is an extra challenge for someone like me who has these physical limitations with the lipolymphedema, but I also have the limitations with ADHD and autism. And, it's like, thank you for, having these features in place for more than 4 years and now acting like removing them is not going to hurt writers. Like, no, you're hurting writers, okay? And you apparently don't care that you're hurting writers because the writers that you're hurting apparently don't matter to you, right? That's where we seem to be at. So, I don't know. I guess that's my whole point is that as much as I can appreciate, some of the suggestions about what writers should do moving forward, I feel like the point is being lost that Medium is wrong, that they, have a legal responsibility to have these options in place, that they have a legal responsibility to make their website accessible to writers from a mobile device. No, not just from a tablet where you're calling the desktop or a mobile phone where you're calling the desktop. No, they have a legal responsibility to actually, make their website optimized for mobile viewing and small screens. And as far as I understand, that's really just the beginning of their responsibilities for building a platform and a website, a mobile app that, to have all those things be compliant with the American Disabilities Act. So, right? The other stuff is just kind of gravy or just moot points because, you know, Medium did bad here. They screwed up and they have not responded adequately about how they're going to fix it. At this point, I'm just gonna like do my best, but um, it shouldn't even be a thing. And we'll see what happens, I guess. I know a lot of writers in the past are very paranoid about if they, say critical things about Medium and they think like, their account's going to be shut down. I've never really had that fear. Um, I maybe have that like a little bit of that fear now because I feel like this is actually like a very serious issue that Medium is not taking seriously at all. So I guess I do now have a tiny bit of a fear that they'll find some, bogus reason to shut off my account or, kick me off of the partner program. But I mean, I guess that would just lead to like bigger ramifications and repercussions, right? Because I am a squeaky wheel, like it or not. I am the squeaky wheel who picks her battles and who, makes a fuss when she really thinks she should. I'm a very shy and introverted person. I will hold my tongue and get like a terrible haircut because I feel so awkward and embarrassed about telling a hairdresser that I hate what they're doing, right? But when it comes to something where I feel like this is an injustice, this is morally and legally reprehensible, then it's different. You know, that's what allows me to be so vocal about the lipedema and lipolymphedema. It's what allows me to be vocal about like fat acceptance and, advocacy for, fat bodies to be welcome in all spaces. And that's what now makes me, able to be vocal about the fact that I really believe Medium has screwed up here, and that they, you know, in this scenario, they do owe this to writers. They do have a responsibility because, without the mobile optimization of the website, like, what the heck? Like, we're open to all writers who want to write for us, except for, the writers who can't access our website because we are not in compliance with American law. Like, okay, right? That's weird. That's very strange. So that's where we're at. And I don't have a good way of saying, like, goodbye, that's the video. I've been rambling for like 35 minutes. Not about nothing, but I know, rambling. And that is just me and how I speak. Not a public speaker. I'm better in writing, but now it's very hard for me to actually get the writing out there. So, cheers. I will speak soon. I will figure something out. Um, Probably gonna have to cancel my subscription and move over to Substack. I really hate that I am like thinking that, but that's what I'm thinking. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if Medium decides to take any of this seriously. No idea. All right. Ciao. Bye bye.